Hello and welcome to the show. Today is May 6, 2023. Let me start by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Today we'll be talking, of course, about the company Bridge Hydrocarbons. It's a private company. There was a company that you could have bought. There was some Series A preferred shares. You could have bought shares in order to obtain Bridge Hydrocarbons. That was stock symbol MMTLP. So a lot of people refer to Bridge Hydrocarbons as MMTLP as well. And the saga of MMTLP. We'll also be talking a little bit about GTII. Not too much, but just a little bit, because just give you a quick update. Anyway, let's start by seeing this particular tweet that comes out of the SEC Investor Corp, and let's see what they have to say.
Don't give your money to a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Background check.
Before you invest, investor.gov.
Well, unfortunately, it turns out that I did give my money to a wolf in sheep's clothing. I unknowingly gave my money to market makers who naked shorted my MMTLP shares. They drove down the price from $12.50 all the way down to $2.90. A lot of people might call that price manipulation. These naked shorts and market makers, they were assisted by FINRA, it turns out, who pulled this thing called a U3 halt. Have you ever heard of a U3 halt? Well, a U3 halt prevents short shares from ever being reconciled. It's quite intriguing, quite interesting. Now, the actions of the manipulative market makers may have been condoned by the SEC. And the reason I say this is because I discovered there were thousands and thousands of complaints that were lodged with the SEC regarding this manipulative short selling, specifically of MMTLP and specifically of the FINRA's U3 halt. And I understand that the SEC did nothing. Now, I also understand, of course, FINRA reports to the SEC, and the SEC has said, sorry, nada. So there were thousands of complaints that were lodged with FINRA and with the SEC, and nothing happened. So maybe it was condoned by the SEC. I don't know. I also understand that MMTLP investors even went, we went to the SEC personally. We went to the SEC headquarters in Washington, D.C., just in case the SEC didn't, just in case they had a computer glitch problem. Let's say that they couldn't read any of their thousands and thousands of emails that were coming in, or thousands and thousands of complaints that were coming in, People went there directly, physically, right? But the SEC had nothing to say. They had no comment. So does that mean that the SEC, maybe FINRA, doesn't even care about protecting investors? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But, that could be the case. Now, the fact of the matter is that it's been over 140 days since December 9th of 2022 when this took place, and I think that MMTLP and Bridge Hydrocarbon shareholders have been fleeced, quite frankly, by FINRA and their short market maker and short hedge fund buddies. So it's quite possible that FINRA was working with these short market makers and hedge fund buddies, and part of the reason I say this is because, hedge funds had 6 months to close their short position in MMTLP before, Bridge Hydrocarbons was spun out into a private company. Now, it looks like FINRA may have conspired with them to keep the short position open and create a situation where there are now short positions in a private company. Now, let's remember, these were something called preferred shares. There were Series A preferred shares. This was not trading in OTC markets, and they represented ownership in oil and gas assets. This later wound up trading under the stock symbol MMTLP, and hedge funds had 6 months of warning that this spin out would actually, would take place, and they had 6 months of public filings that took place with the SEC, and the SEC approved it. So there was lots of warning there. Now, in case you may not be aware of what a short position is, because I've been talking about short positions, a short position basically means a security was sold before it was purchased. That means that the seller intended to buy back the shares at a later time when the price is lower. Now, if you think about it, short sellers are actually selling something they don't own. That creates dilution, and that dilution depresses share prices up until the shares are actually purchased. But what we have is a short position in a private company. Okay, private company shares don't trade. There's no way you can borrow these shares, right? So basically, this now means that private company shares essentially have been counterfeited. You can't borrow these shares and sell them. You've essentially diluted shares. You've sold counterfeit shares, and there's no way for the shorts to cover. There's no way for the shorts to actually sell these, to actually buy back, the shares. So that means that what they sold has been counterfeited because they didn't buy it back before trading stopped. They were given warning that trading was going to stop, and they said, oh, you know what? We're just going to let it slide. We sold these shares that we didn't own, but we're never going to buy them back. That's what the shorts said, and that's basically what FINRA said you can do. So just think about it. So if you got a private company, the company's going private, that the shares won't be tradable. FINRA says, it's okay, you never have to reconcile those shares. Now, that, to me, basically means the shares that were sold out there into that market, those shares were counterfeited. Just think about that for a second. Anyway, FINRA came out with an FAQ, frequently asked questions, about MMTLP. And in that FAQ, they verified the existence of short positions in Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. Now, Next Bridge Hydrocarbons, don't forget, is a non-tradable company. It's publicly reporting, but it's basically a private company because you can't trade the stock. So FINRA pulls this U3 extraordinary halt that stops all trading of MMTLP before shorts would have to close their positions. So FINRA is responsible for creating the fraudulent counterfeit shares. A lot of people, 65,000 plus shareholders, had a lot of questions about this. There were actually 4 active lawsuits now against FINRA. There's an investigation by a private group of individuals called Flamethrower LLC. Congress was looking into this, and what did FINRA do? They wrote an FAQ. And their FAQ basically verified the existence of short positions in a private company, which is a fraudulent counterfeit share. Now, FINRA is going to say the situation was really complex. It was, they had to do this. They had no choice. There were possible settlement issues, who knows what. But here's what they should have done, okay? It's very, very simple. What FINRA should have done is they should have told brokers and broker-dealers of a corporate action that shorts have to close their positions by December 12th of 2022. And when a short position is closed, that means that you buy the shares to close. You buy shares that you've already sold, which you didn't own, and you have to buy those shares in order to close that position, right? That will remove the existence of a fake counterfeit share. You have to inform brokers and broker-dealers now FINRA should have informed brokers and broker-dealers of this, that on December 9th and 12th, that all trading on MMTLP must be position close only. What does that mean? That means that longs, people who've already purchased shares, they can sell their shares to shorts. These are people who've legitimately bought shares. They can sell the shares to the shorts. Don't forget, shorts are people who've sold something that they do not own. And that created dilution. Now that allows the shorts to close their positions. So shorts have the ability to close their positions, but they have to close their positions by December 12th of 2022. If they do not close, they should be force closed. And when, that would essentially give shorts 2 days to close. On the first day, they can trade on their own to close. And the second day, if they do not close on that first day, they will be forced to close by their broker-dealers. This would reconcile every single short share. Okay, basically that means that all those fake counterfeit shares that came into existence, they would go back out of existence, and the share price would be correct as though those counterfeit shares never existed. Okay, that's what that would happen. That would reconcile shares that were already sold to buyers. Buyers bought these shares from their brokers. The brokers told them these were real shares, not that they were fraudulent counterfeit shares. Brokers did not intend to sell fraudulent counterfeit shares, but FINRA turned those short shares into fraudulent counterfeit shares. This would reconcile all those shares and prevent those shares from ever becoming counterfeit shares. That's what FINRA should have done, okay? Instead, it looks like FINRA basically may have conspired with short hedge funds to keep the short position open into the spin-out of a private company. Don't forget, those short positions in a private company is equal to a fraudulent counterfeit share. Think about it. Just think about what that means, okay? Anyway, as we know, FINRA is a self-regulatory agency. They were empowered by Congress. They report to the U.S. SEC, and they state that their goal is to provide a resource for investors to feel confident about investing in U.S. financial markets. Now, would you feel confident about investing in a financial market that was selling fraudulent counterfeit shares? I don't think you would. So what it looks like FINRA did is FINRA went against their stated goal, and it looks like they worked with particular hedge funds to engage in counterfeiting of U.S. stocks and to fleece U.S. investors, as well as international investors, by the way. Now, the situation with FINRA's U3 halt, MMTLP, and the resulting short position in a private company, which is Bridge Hydrocarbons, has gone on for over 140 days. And it's now close to 150 days now without resolution. Don't forget that a short position in a private company equals counterfeit shares. This is a clear example of how corrupt U.S. markets are. FINRA's U3 halt has basically fleeced 65,000 plus shareholders of MMTLP just to benefit a few short hedge funds and market makers, okay? Until the situation is resolved, I believe it's a clear example of corruption in U.S. stock markets, and it harms the entire market because we don't want to corrupt U.S. stock market. We don't want to corrupt U.S. stock market. We want a market that is actually robust, that that where people can buy and sell real shares, where people can buy and sell shares that where people can feel confident that when they tell their broker that they're going to buy a share, their broker is going to give them a real share and not a fraudulent counterfeit share. Okay, so that's where we stand. Now, I want to start this particular video with a note about a previous slide on a previous video. This previous slide was about James J. Angel and ChatGBT, and there was this guy, Glass guy, who basically said that James J. Angel had some ethics issues, and so I was contacted by James J. Angel, and he says, "Hey, look, there's no real ethics issues. So can you check this and correct it if that's the case?" So I had a look at it, and I said, "Hey, well, let's see. This is a ChatGPT. This is a ChatGPT posting." And if you go to the actual link on Twitter, you'll find that the link is gone. The page doesn't exist. Try searching for something else. So the original tweet is gone, but fortunately, of course, I have the, I've saved the stuff on slides so we can look it up. Now, so we looked at this, and we see that the first link is a Wall Street Journal article, and I saved the link, of course, and we went to that link, and what happens? Well, the Wall Street Journal says page not found. What? What's going on here? I expected to see something, but I did not see anything here. 404, page not found. So I said, okay, maybe there's something wrong with this link. Went to the Wall Street Journal, and I looked up James Angel, Georgetown University ethics violations in 2018, because it seems to be, about something that happened in 2018. I saw nothing. I see about a bunch of ethics assault on Supreme Courts. I don't see anything about James J. Angels here. This is the Wall Street Journal. I just looked it up directly on the Wall Street Journal. So I'm going to say that first link, that's a nix. That first link is wrong. Things are, that does not work out. So that first link is totally incorrect. So let's look at the second link, okay? The second link is on the Washington Post. Let's have a look. Well, I went to the Washington Post, went to the link here, checked it out. And the Washington Post said, sorry, we can't find the page. I said, what? What's going on here? So we looked at, so I said, okay, dang, we can't find this link. Let's look in let's just do a search in the Washington Post directly for James J. Angel. And so I did that. I looked up James Angel in the Washington Post, Georgetown University ethics violations, and I came up with nothing. Obviously, there's nothing here about James J. Angel from Georgetown University in the Washington Post. So the second link is also a nix. That's gone, okay? So last link, let's have a look at that. Went to Bloomberg. Bloomberg is the last link, and let's see. Sure enough, Bloomberg says, gee, page cannot be found. No web page can be found for the address. Geez, there's nothing there. Okay, let's look it up in Bloomberg directly. Went to Bloomberg, James Angel, Georgetown University ethics, and I see nothing here. Zero, nada. So that last link is, I'm going to say, a nix. So at this point in time, I'm going to say that I believe that ChatGPT is in error. This is likely a mistake. I am unable to find any ethics violations associated with Mr. James J. Angel of Georgetown University, and it's quite likely that ChatGPT just made this stuff up. because if you look up ChatGPT, as Mr. Angel pointed out to me, and even as ChatGPT says, ChatGPT can occasionally hallucinate, and make up stuff. So I don't know. I think ChatGPT is out in left field, and I do not see anything about Mr. James J. Angel and any ethics violations. So I apologize to Mr. Angel if I had if I had given the impression to people that he is that he has ethics violations. I have not found anything in that regard, and that's what I have to say. I have come clean, and I make mistakes. You know, no one's perfect. I believed ChatGPT, and obviously I was wrong. And you know what? I own up to my mistakes, and I try to correct it and move on. That's what I do, okay? What about FINRA? FINRA pulled this U3 halt on December 9th, 2022. I suggest FINRA own up to their mistakes and try to correct it. Because, quite frankly, I think it's the right thing to do, right? If you make a mistake, try to correct it and move on, okay? Now, along the way, I've heard that Mr. Angels has given a presentation to Congress, and that and Syntax has stated that she saw some slides that may have had some Georgetown University logos on it and stuff like that. So I don't believe that any presentation there is endorsed by Georgetown University. I think it's just a slide template indicating his affiliation because he naturally works there. And, that's the way academics work. That's just life. So I wouldn't worry too much about Georgetown University endorsing anything that was said in those presentations. I have not seen any slides or any presentations about that. So I don't really know what James J. Angel said to Congress, but I don't believe that Mr. Angels understood the situation. I don't believe he understands the MMTLP situation right now. I think it's likely that he just took material straight out of the FINRA MMTLP FAQ and presented that to Congress. Again, I have not spoken to Mr. Angels, but if I am wrong, please let me know. Let's have a discussion, and let's figure out what's going on, okay? I'm open to chatting. I'm open to talking to you. I would like to have a discussion either in public or in private with you. It doesn't matter. I understand the academic year is drawing to a close, and I know you got a lot on your plate, but I think it would be good for us to have a talk. Let's talk about it, and I will explain to you what I believe I know about as a shareholder about MMTLP. I know what the situation is, and I hope to communicate that in a clear manner to hopefully illuminate the situation. Okay, I don't know what presentation was presented to Congress, but I do not believe that it had. I don't believe it had the information that most of us have, and I'm willing to have a discussion with you, Mr. Angels, to talk about that. Okay. If you don't want to talk to me, it's perfectly fine. There are tons of other people out there. There's a guy called Houston Wade. He's another academic, and he understands the situation. I think he operates out of Washington State. I don't know. He comes to mind. So if you like talking to other academics, feel free to reach out to Houston Wade. I'm sure he's willing to talk to you. And we can clarify the MMTLP and next Bridge Hydrocarbon situation. I also believe that John Berta is available. I believe he reached out and would like to talk with you. And again, this is to Mr. Angel. I believe Mr. Berta has made himself available to you, and he'd like to discuss the situation with you. Okay, but that's my message to Mr. Angel. However, now I believe that Pete Sessions, who invited Mr. Angel in to talk to other congressmen, he wrote a letter to George Palacaris, and that letter indicated that, I believe the letter indicated that Pete Sessions fully understood what the MMTLP situation is. So I don't know what happened there, because to me it seems as though he fully understood what was going on, and yet somehow along the way he pulled in someone who knew less than he did, apparently. And the effect of that was it undermined the situation among his various other Congress people fellow, and among his other Congress people peers, that as to what exactly the MMTLP situation was. I think Congress was going to ask Gary Gensler some uncomfortable questions, and I think Mr. Pete Sessions had an opportunity to ask Gary Gensler some questions about MMTLP in a public forum, and he missed his opportunity, okay? And I think he knew what the situation was. However, so the question that I have is, why did you change your position, Pete Sessions? Now, a lot of people might just say, well, Pete Sessions is corrupt and all that. I don't think he's corrupt. I don't think he took any money from lobbyists to look the other way. I think Pete Sessions is a very smart individual, and I believe he is probably working hard to do what he believes is the best thing for the country and the nation. I'm wondering if Mr. Sessions had a chance to see the blue sheets, and does he understand? And if he did see the blue sheets, that might be the situation that the short position is way worse than anyone, even myself, have imagined. And if that's the case, then I think that information is something that shareholders need to know. I think that's something that people would like to know about. What do I mean by these blue sheets? Blue sheets are a raw trading information. They will tell us exactly what the short position is, including market maker short positions, naked short positions, the works. Okay, it's possible that Pete Sessions had a look at that and he saw that the blue sheets were horrible. It's possible that the blue sheets were horrible, that they were much more shares than anyone ever possibly imagined, including myself. I've never seen the blue sheets. I wouldn't know. I'm just speculating here. Okay. So I sent this tweet out to Pete Sessions. I have no response, not expecting a response. But there's another possibility as well, too, which came up, which I was thinking about. Maybe he saw the level 2 order books. We know John Berta saw the level 2 order books, and he said, hey, look, the level 2s are showing there were only 5 million shares available. And at the end of trading, if there's a lot more than 5 million shares that need to be resolved, which I believe there are, that means prices would have gone to 4,000 and above. Okay. And people were asking, say, if people know that the price is going to go to 4,000 and above, of course, why would you settle for less, right? This is what James, the penniless tycoon, has said. And what's interesting is that he says that, once $4,000 per share is reached, no one would have sold MMTLP for less. He says 10,000 might be possible. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Who knows? It's hard to say. But, the situation could be far, far worse than was originally envisioned, at least by myself. I do not know because I have not seen the blue sheets. But by keeping quiet about it, for those people who have seen the blue sheets, we'll think it's way worse than what it may actually be. It's best to just release the blue sheets, I think, Towards releasing the blue sheets, we know that there's... We know that Mark Basil, working out of a New York State court, has got a judge to issue some orders to, for FINRA to release the blue sheets and preserve all evidence regarding MMTLP and MMAT for a lawsuit. FINRA has been served overnight on May 5th. Okay, this order came out on May 1st. And opposition, which means that anything FINRA might have to say in terms of written arguments, has to be supplied by May 19th. And Mr. Basil will be given an opportunity to respond or to reply to FINRA's opposition by May 26th. And by May 30th, we should see the blue sheets appearing in court. So basically, this means that FINRA has been given a month to release the blue sheets. I thought they might get the blue sheets earlier, but it looks like they've been given a month as of May 1. Interestingly enough, we have a FOIA request specifically for the blue sheets by Bird Lady Roller Pigeons. Thank you, Bird Lady, for doing this FOIA request. But I recall from my last conversation with Roller Pigeons that I believe the blue sheets are in the May 18th to 22nd time frame. So we may be getting those blue sheets a little bit earlier. So that's really good. Thank you, Bird Lady, for all that you do. And right now, the U.S. economy is in a slightly different position. Right now, we have a big problem in that copy paste. William Morgan has stated that banks right now are basically burning, and things are not looking good for regional banks and banks. And it looks like shorts are shorting banks. Now we know shorts have shorted MMTLP, but shorts are now shorting the U.S. banking system, I believe. And I made a tweet to Gary Gensler and the SEC. I said, you took way too long to clear up the short problem. This is not just a problem for MMTLP. This is in general a short problem. Now, shorts are attacking banks, and I think it's basically your fault, Gary Gensler and the SEC. if you try to get Congress to pass a law that's going to prevent shorts from attacking banks, you can do that. You can do that. But basically what that's going to mean is that's going to tell longs, hey, sell your position in banks right now, and then banking stocks will collapse. The best thing that you could have done, and that you still can do, I think it's still not too late, is you should set an example for shorts. You can use MMTLP as the example, right? Just tell them, hey, look, you're not going to tolerate this short price manipulation that's been going on. Okay, still not too late. How do you do this? Well, you basically say, hey, look, we can have 2 days of trading for next Bridge Hydrocarbons, position close only, and all shorts to close or be forced closed by the second day. Now, as I said earlier, of course, I believe that the MMTLP situation has been going on for almost 150 days, and it's way past time to resolve this, right? It's FINRA's contention that the U3 halt had nothing to do with the short position in MMTLP. They were trying to do everything to resolve settlement and clearance problems. Great. Okay, if that's the case, then you should have no problem with my solution, because I believe that the problem had to do with shorts. Okay, but FINRA says the problem had nothing to do with shorts. Okay. FINRA says in their FAQ that there do exist short positions in the private company next Bridge Hydrocarbons. They find that to be regrettable. I call the short positions in a private company for what they are: fraudulent counterfeit shares. Now, FINRA reports to the SEC, so I think that the SEC can resolve this problem by basically telling FINRA what to do. Don't forget, FINRA reports to you, Gary Gensler. Okay? And my contention, of course, is that a short position in a company that does not trade is a security that's been sold, okay, to unsuspecting buyers. That security was never purchased by the people who sold them, and as a result, that security is a counterfeit share, okay? Counterfeit shares were sold. So let's settle this, okay? I think we can settle this. I think there's a way out, okay? And the way out, of course, is to open trading in next Bridge Hydrocarbons, 2 days of trading only, right? Go to position close only. All shorts to close their positions by the end of the second day, or have their positions closed for them. What that literally means is that shorts who sold shares that they do not own will literally have to buy back the shares that they sold, okay? And that would close the fraudulent counterfeit shares that were introduced into the market, okay? At the end of 2 days, there should be 0 short shares in next Bridge Hydrocarbons. We should not have short positions in a private company. And by 0 short shares, I also, of course, include the failures to deliver. The failures to deliver is a running count. The failures to deliver should go to 0. Anything that you've cleared your any failure to deliver sort of also got into the obligations warehouse or any other hidden situation like that has to be reconciled, right? Basically, that means nothing in the obligations warehouse about MMTLP, Torch, or next Bridge Hydrocarbons. 0. We want 0 failures to deliver, 0 next Bridge Hydrocarbons shares in the obligations warehouse. All short shares have to be reconciled, and that would solve the problem. That would solve the problem, okay? And quite frankly, if, as you say, FINRA, that your U3 halt had nothing to do with, if your U3 halt had nothing to do with saving your short hedge fund buddies, and had everything to do with settlement and clearance, just do what I said, because there would be no settlement and clearance problems then at that point, right? 2 days of trading only, everything gets settled and cleared. All short positions are closed. Reconcile the short next Bridge Hydrocarbon shares, FINRA. That's all I have to say. Next, let's talk about GTII. Okay, GTII, I happen to have mentioned GTII a while back. A few videos ago, I said I bought some shares in GTII. The price is currently about $1.30 right now, as of Friday. And the big news there, of course, is that there was GTII was to do a stock dividend. Okay, for every 10 shares you held, you will get an additional restricted share. Okay, and I purchased GTII shares in my account at Fidelity, and I received this. I got this notification. This means that dividend shares have been distributed. Note that they are contra shares. Does that mean that they're real shares? Well, you can't do anything with them. They're restricted shares. These are contra shares. I don't know if that means that they're real shares. Certainly. The reason this says cash is because I have a cash account. That basically means that there is no margin in this account. These are all cash accounts. But I've received a GTII contra shares. What does that basically mean? Why did I get contra shares? According to Fidelity, the dividend is a common stock, but it is restricted from trading for a period of time. That's what's called a restricted common stock. These are restricted shares. What that means it basically means you can't sell those shares, of course, right? You can after the restriction period is over. But for now, you can't sell those shares. So we have placeholders again in our brokerage accounts. That's what I think happens. We have this interesting tweet by Tony AI or Tony Al T Shamari, and interestingly enough, he's got he recorded a call to his broker, and let's hear what he had to say. This is going around because it's quite an interesting call. Let's hear.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Have you ever heard of a master certificate?
No, I was talking about the GTII special dividend certificates. Like that's
right.
what I want, just the special.
Those,
yeah.
Right. So those are on what we call a master certificate. So basically, GTII made this really big certificate that probably has thousands and thousands of shares, and you are entitled to 3,750 of them.
Okay.
That master certificate is a physical piece of paper. So we have to request GTII and the transfer agent.
So that was the end of that particular video, but there is a further follow-on tweet. Let's hear what the further tweet has to say.
So we have to request GTII and the transfer agent to reprint that stock certificate to break off your shares. Right now, GTII is going through some sort of reorganization, or there's going through internal legal action. They have paused everyone's ability to be able to get those shares for now. That pause may end tomorrow, or it may end in 3 months. For more information, you'll have to talk to GTII. I'll take a look at it over the next few months. But right now, we are unable to get your shares out of that master certificate.
What are you talking about? That legal? You're talking about the lawsuit?
Yes, that could be the reason that the shares are on hold.
So you guys have my shares on hold?
Not Fidelity. If you were at any other brokerage firm, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, any other firm, they would also be on hold there because of probably the lawsuit.
What does that lawsuit has to do with my shares? The lawsuit has nothing to do with the special dividends.
Until GTII releases that hold, we are unable to take the shares off. This is GTII's problem.
Okay. All right. Okay, then. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Yep. I'll take a look at it over the next few months, and if I see any update, I'll be sure to contact you. That way we can get those shares broken off.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to help. Have a great day, sir.
You
Bye.
do the same. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so a couple things that I find just to be weird there. Okay, first off, these are restricted shares. That basically means that you cannot sell the shares, but you should have the shares in your account as regular common stock that you cannot sell. Okay, and it just represents 10%, so you should have an additional 10% shares in there. Having that additional 10% shares in there would give you extra collateral. It would give you an increased balance in your particular account. So you should have that. Okay, not having the shares in there basically means that your account is being given a $0 valuation because Fidelity doesn't have the shares, or the broker doesn't have the shares. That's ludicrous. Okay. You should have those additional shares in there. Okay. Now, secondly, the fact of the matter is they should know what a restricted share is, right? Because these brokers often have something, where they can, for instance, companies often have this thing called, what is it? Companies often have restricted shares that they offer to their employees. They're called restricted stock units, RSUs, okay? These show up in employees' accounts as restricted stock units. They have restricted shares that will become, available to them at a certain point in time, but the value of those shares fully shows up in their account. Okay, that means that those shares have a value. Right now, Fidelity is saying, well, the shares have no value because they're in this great big entity that they can't break up, which is ludicrous. No. Restricted shares were issued. Brokers know how to deal with restricted shares. They should simply say you have restricted shares in your account. They shouldn't come up with this weird, God knows what rigmarole story this is. This is obviously not the case. You have restricted shares in your brokerage account, and it should say that you have restricted shares, not that you have contra shares or a placeholder for shares or you have a portion of a big lot of shares. No. Very simple. You should have restricted shares in your account. Okay, that's what should be said. Why was that not said? I don't know. It sounds as though either the broker is incompetent, which I doubt because they have to go through this thing called a licensing setup where they understand what restricted shares are. They should know more than you do because they're supposed to tell you. The fact that you know more than they do is not a good situation for brokers. It makes them look like idiots, or it makes FINRA's certification of these brokers, because they certify these brokers to have passed this thing called a Series 6 or a Series 7 license in order to become employed by these stockbrokers. That certification is useless if they have no idea what's going on. I mean, give me a freaking break. They should know more. Okay, they should be able to tell you what I said. But the fact that they're not indicates that either they don't know, which is incompetence, or they're hiding something, which is corruption. One or the other. Maybe both. Who knows? Okay, one or the other, maybe both. And that's going on with GTII. Also, this thing called 1-800 Law Firm looks like it's about to hit sometime around May 15th or so. Again, dates are probably not a good idea when dealing with this because this is an ongoing corruption issue. But again, the price was around 130 on Friday, and this is what the price looked like, and I decided to buy some. I decided to buy some because, quite frankly, I had mentioned that I thought that it was a pretty good deal. And in this video, I'm going to do something a little bit odd. I'm going to tell you exactly how my thought process works on buying. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Of course, this information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. I'm telling you the reasoning that I chose to buy shares on Friday and how that worked, okay? So basically, for me to buy shares, there are multiple decisions that take place, right? I separate the decision of whether or not I'm going to buy with when I'm going to buy, okay? The timing is a completely separate decision to me to the decision to buy, okay? So my decision to buy was made a long time ago, okay? My decision to buy was made a long time ago based upon initially, you just look at an analyst price target. They think that GTII should be worth, on average, $24.48. So the average price target for analysts is above $24. They have an excellent management that is actively fighting shorts right now. I believe this to be the case. There are multiple catalysts that can cause this stock price to go up. I'm not going to list those catalysts out. I recommend you check out Ace in the Holes videos. He does a very good job of actually enumerating the catalysts and all the things that could potentially cause this stock to skyrocket. Lots of things can cause the price of the stock to go up. And if anything triggers it, then it is quite possible that shorts will get overrun. If the price heads to $24.48, if the price gets anywhere near $24, I believe shorts will be overrun. And if shorts get overrun, that may start something called a squeeze, right? And if a squeeze happens and shorts are overrun, that means shorts get margin called and they are forced to buy. They're forced to close their position. If that happens, the stock price could go to 100 plus, it could go to 400 plus, it could go to 1,000 plus. I don't know, much more. Not only that, this entire company has 2 full-time employees. That's all the employees that are out there. What does that mean to me? That means that there's 2 people working there. That means that there's very, very low cost in this company. This company has almost no expenses. Okay, it's a company with very low expenses of at least a $24 price target, right, by analysts. It could go much higher than that. It could go to 100 to 1,000, right? Possible squeeze play. The analyst price targets are not looking at a possible squeeze play. They're just saying, hey, look, based on fundamentals, they think that the company's stock is worth $24, okay? And I see the stock price trading for under $2. To me, that's a buy. So that's why I decided to buy. So that's my buy decision. That's the reason that I said to myself, I intend to buy GTII, because I think the price can go up. I don't know when it can go up, okay? So after I decide to buy, I go through basically a 3 or 4 step process to buy, right? I said, okay, I don't know when the price is going to go up. I don't know when the best time to buy is. So I need to buy some. And that's what I call, and that's step 1. I buy to obtain an initial position. When I buy to obtain an initial position, the reason for that is I don't know if I'm getting a good price. I don't know if I'm getting a bad price. I do know that it's a lot less than $24. So therefore, any price that I get, any shares that I get, I got potential upside in. Doesn't matter how many shares I get. I'm going to be very happy if the price goes up immediately after I buy. Okay? The price could skyrocket on Monday and I'll be perfectly fine. However, that's if I don't own any shares. If I don't own any shares, I need to buy some shares so I'm in the game. Okay? That also prevents me from going through what I would call FOMO buying on my part, right? Once I've got some shares, I know that, for me, that alleviates FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out, okay? That alleviates FOMO for me. Then, after I've got my initial position, okay, that's just to alleviate FOMO and to make sure that I'm in the game. Then I start to look at what a good price is to buy. Now, why am I looking for a good price when I see that anything that's under $2 is great price, right? Well, because I want to buy more, okay? I want to buy as many shares as I can for the dollars that I spend. So I'm looking for price floors. And that's what I use that's what I look at technical factors for, TA, technical analysis, right? To me, I'm just looking for price floors. When, what are considered to be low price points at which point tons of people start buying, or the price inevitably seems to rise up significantly, right? And then I look at a second price floor that's below that first price floor, right? And those are my two buy points that I look at, right? I'll have an initial buy, and then I'll have 2 additional price points, in which case I will buy more shares. And I will reserve money in order to buy shares at those 2 additional price points. And I'll be very happy to buy those additional shares. Those 2 price points will be, of course, below my initial position price, right? If the price immediately starts heading upwards, then I'm very happy, because the phase 2 and phase 3 of buying, I don't have to worry about. I'm making money. I'm in good shape. If the price heads downwards, if shorts attack it some more, then I'm also happy at that point, right? Because I can buy more shares then at that point. This allows me to feel neutral about shorts. I'm not panicked into selling or anything like that. I don't have stop losses. I don't need stop losses, because I've made my choice to buy, right? My choice to buy is based upon certain analysis that I've done, based upon where I see the value of the shares at. If I see the price dropping further from my initial position, then I have extra money that I've put aside to buy more. Okay. On Friday, I saw the price hit somewhere around $1.25. So I decided to pick up a few more shares at that point in time. That was one of my buy prices. And I think that was an excellent buy price for me because I got to pick up more shares. Okay, so I'm perfectly happy with that. If shorts attack it some more, am I going to panic sell? Probably not. I'm going to have some additional cash left over so that I can buy some more, right? Unless shorts tell me that my fundamental thesis is incorrect, that the average analyst price target is not $24, I'm perfectly happy if shorts attack the price some more because I'm going to go out and buy some more shares at a lower price. Okay. I don't think shorts are going to do that because apparently this is a nice price floor for them. They apparently, they attacked the price previously and it took it down to this price level. Maybe they'll attack it again some more, but if they do, then I'll probably buy some more. But that's just me because I've separated the question of whether to buy or not from the price point at which I will buy. Okay. That's how I operate. Okay. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This information is, of course, intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. I don't often tell people how I buy because that's basically one of the things that I do for myself. But I'm disclosing that information, so there you go. That's how I operate. Okay. So that's me with GTII. I bought some more. Just FYI. Just thought I'd let you know because hey, can't hurt, right? Anyway, so that's all I have to say in this video. I think the SEC has an excellent opportunity to work with NextBridge management and to work with FINRA and broker-dealers in order to reconcile the NextBridge Hydrocarbon shares. They can open up trading for 2 more days, right? And they can reconcile all the short positions, get rid of the short positions in NextBridge Hydrocarbons by opening up trading. You still have an opportunity to do that. And, if some shorts get hurt in this process, which they might, and, they took on infinite risk because when you short, you've gone through, okay, the people who have shorted are basically, they have a Series 6 or Series 7 license. They're what's called accredited investors. They're supposed to be very intelligent in terms of investing. They should know what they're doing. And they should know from their broker that shorting means that you have infinite risk, okay? They might get hurt because they sold something that they did not own and were unable to buy it back at less than a very high price. But that's the way the game works, right? So the SEC has to just allow these shorts to get what they signed up for, right? I mean, they signed up for infinite risk. They don't want to be a Welcher. I'm sure they don't want to be known as being Welchers. They need to basically reconcile their short positions. Let the shorts reconcile their positions. If some shorts get hurt, you know what? That might be a good heads-up warning to some other shorts out there in the world who are shorting bank stocks. And it might be a good thing for shorts to learn about, right? Because it's not good for shorts to wreak havoc on our economy like they are doing with bank stocks now. You need to send a message, SEC, that, this infinite shorting is not a good idea and will not be tolerated, okay? So that's the first thing. Send a message, SEC, reconcile NextBridge Hydrocarbons positions. Yes, some shorts may get hurt, but, that's the risks that they agreed to. So there's no big deal there. And also, GTII, they got their, we got our contra shares. I don't know what that means, but apparently, either brokers don't know what's going on with GTII and shareholders know more than brokers, which is, again, a ludicrous concept. They should know what's going on, and they should come clean. We have restricted shares in our account. Brokers should simply say, we have restricted shares in our account. There you go. And those shares will become unrestricted at some point in time. We don't know what that point in time is, but they can just say you have restricted shares in your account, and that's simple, right? Fess up. It's very simple. Don't say that you've got these contra shares and make up these weird stories that, quite frankly, no one wants to hear. I mean, when you make up stories, everyone knows you're lying. Just simply tell the situation as it is, Don't make up weird stuff that no one wants to hear. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is, of course, intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. And that's my May 6 update. So thank you and goodbye.